My cheat sheet is not up yet.
Wait, are you not still seeing that?
I see nothing. I see me.
I see you. Fabulous.
Okay, that's not what was supposed to happen there.
3, 2,
2, 1.
hello.
I guess we're gonna have to keep that up.
Well, I will call this meeting to order. And Glenn Fieldman is gone.
Just a moment, we're having some technical difficulties.
Laptop? Where's Karen? I thought it was.
Okay, I'd like to call roll this evening. Glenn Fieldman is absent tonight, but Jason Noonan, Aaron Becker, Mary Rogers,
Here.
Barbara Ebel,
Here.
Michelle Salmon here.
Salmons, and Shauna Calmes. Thank you. So we are all here.
I make a move that we adopt the agenda,
Second.
and I don't think we need a roll call vote.
No.
We do, in fact, still have to do a roll call vote, sorry.
Okay.
All right. Well, Jason Noonan,
Yes.
Aaron Becker,
Yes.
Mary Rogers.
Yes.
Barbara Ebel,
Aye.
Michelle Salmons,
Aye.
Shauna Calmes, aye. The agenda has been adopted. Are there any announcements this evening? I have one. This is actually sort of in conjunction with the Parks and Rec. They are offering a secret garden tour on Saturday, the 6th of June. And you need to pre-register for it, but there'll be about 10 gardens, 10 fabulous Brisbane gardens. You can tour them, and we're encouraging donations to the Brisbane Lions Club. And I think it'll be a really nifty event. You can see some fantastic gardens. There's an incredible rose garden up in the ridge. There's a wonderful succulent and native garden. There's a
I bet that's Grace's.
Yes, Grace is on the on the tour.
And you can get some fantastic ideas for the garden show this summer.
Yes. Anyone else with any announcements? All right, let's.
Oh, I just was going to say, I found some copies of our old Open Space and Ecology Committee carbon footprint flyer. We lost all of this at one point, all of these at one point. So I found some old ones. If we want those for a day in the park again, I'll give them to Adrian before we leave.
So I move we approve the minutes unless anyone.
Oral
Second.
communications was next, but
Yes.
we did not have any
Oh, we haven't
communications
ordered,
received.
so I didn't notice it.
But
I'm having one of those days.
I approve that we improve the minutes.
I second that.
Excellent. The minutes have been.
Roll call vote?
Jason Noonan,
Yes.
Aaron Becker,
Yes.
Mary Rogers,
Yes.
Barbara Ebel,
Aye.
Michelle Salmon.
Yes.
Shauna Calmes, yes. Minutes have been approved. All right, we will move to old business, starting with the Quarry Development update.
So I don't have a whole lot of an update for you besides that my understanding is that the Community Development Department has deemed the application, what was the word, incomplete? Incomplete. So the developer will need to submit a new application, at which point in time or in the interim, we will need to kind of have more internal discussion on what exactly that process will look like, but there's no application worth reviewing at this point in time.
Adrian, can you tell me why it was deemed incomplete?
That I cannot. That is all I got from the community development director was it has been deemed incomplete.
All right, I guess we will move on.
Just to have another question, and maybe you can find out for us. Does that mean that when they reapply, there will be a new notice of preparation based on the revised application?
That is an excellent question, and I will find out,
Thank you.
or at least attempt to.
And maybe we'll get more notice and it won't come over a holiday period.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions regarding the quarry development?
I guess just, you'll let us know.
I will let you know when we have something to know.
Okay, that's all.
All right. Moving on to new business. We've got the Brisbane Acres Vegetation Management Plan Review.
The map. Yeah. So we have found a new qualified consultant to perform vegetation management in the acres, and we did kind of guide them in terms of what On Point Land Management had been doing in the past to give us their proposal. And they are kind of, staying on track. This will be their first year, so they want to work in the three major areas. Bob made a really nice map for us that has the areas as they were previously also defined with On Point Land Management. And the map is showing the hashed acres are the ones that are city-owned, so that they're only working on the ones that are city-owned, even though it kind of looks like the whole area. So they'll work on the East Harold Road site, cut, treat French broom, fennel on the ridge, cruise areas for any new weed species in the central Humboldt water tank sites, cruise, map, and treat small populations of invasive species on city-owned parcels, focus on broom, fennel, cotoneaster, and pine. Barbara.
I'm just sorry. I kind of know which ones are city-owned, but I can't tell. It's very difficult to tell in this picture which ones are hashed.
All the ones that are colored
Okay.
are city-owned, correct?
No, some of them are solid.
Can you see the cursor moving here? So these
I'm thinking for our audience,
are all hashed, but like this.
I think the pink ones aren't.
The pinks are not.
Okay.
And the yellows are the yellows. I can't tell.
Yellows are hashed.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not sure I even had those in there.
All right. So that was my only clarification.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just shown the city ones. So the pink are, yeah.
I think it's just the rendering on the screen is kind of pixelated and it makes it really difficult to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's circles with numbers.
What are the circles with numbers, and where's number one? I see 2 and 3, I think.
One is on the east, the Harold Road.
Okay.
That's the
Oh,
first one I was
gotcha,
talking
right by
about.
the word east. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
And then 2 is central and 3 is west. It's a good map and with a good monitor. Yeah. Just got it done recently. So on the west end, Margaret Upper Paul sites, cut and treat resprouting invasive species, French broom, eucalyptus, acacia, and cotoneaster. Along the trail system, the social trail system, cruise for missed eucalyptus sprouts in upper power line area, lower slope of Paul Avenue parking area, map and assess any new populations of Ehrharta grass and acacia resprouts in the areas that are somewhat being stewarded by Mountain Watch volunteers, I would say. And then brush control various sites, cut.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
It is not, San Bruno Mountain Watch does not maintain those trails, and they did not create those trails, and that should be stricken from your vocabulary. Local volunteers maintain the social trails,
Right. I agree.
okay? That's very important, Karen.
No, I understand.
Okay, thank you. Because I saw it I saw that mentioned in the proposal that Hanford had put out.
Right, right. And that's what we're talking about. Expand on previous sites along the ridge lines and the water tank areas and begin new treatments on the ridges above Harold Road. So we asked them, obviously, site activity permit from the HCP and to do a presentation to OSEC at the end of their work. And they are also going to document what they do in CalFlora, which the county has asked for as the HCP manager. So it's part of OSEC's purview to understand what the vegetation management plan is and approve it and get a report on it annually. So we are asking for whether you approve this proposal for this year. No.
I have a question. In this proposal, it says that their fire mitigation will be to use fire extinguishers when they're using gasoline-powered tools. Is there anything we can do to tell them that we prefer that they use electric tools and not gasoline-powered? Because the city is pushing towards electrification, and so our contractors, people we hire to do work here, we should incentivize them to use electric tools.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion, yeah.
Aaron, the problem with that in the past has been there's no wild currant bushes up on the mountain to recharge from. And so when they hike in
Yeah.
to do a lot of work, they take a small amount of fuel with them to refill. We had asked the last habitat.
If we don't start asking, they won't understand it's important.
Yeah, I agree. But I
I
just wanted to explain why that they don't. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a battery weed whacker and that thing lasts an hour or two. So I could see if you're working up on the mountain all day, that might,
Yeah, their hours are 7:30 to 3:30. And they don't really come down off the mountain to do that.
Right. I'm with Aaron, that's good that we ask. If they
Yeah.
can do it, that's
I
great.
absolutely
And there's
agree.
such a thing as buying several battery packs too.
Yep.
You know, so.
that's true.
Yeah, I'll ask and at the very least, write it into future requests for proposal.
Yeah.
It would certainly be safer.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about this management plan?
I just had a couple questions. I had a question about, was this our only option? Did we have more than one option? And have they been able to study the work that was done by the previous land manager, to make sure that they're familiar with the native plants on San Bruno Mountain, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, there were a few that we looked at, and I believe these are the only ones that bid, but they have been in the restoration business for quite a while and are very knowledgeable also.
Yeah, I saw their site and I looked it over. I just want to make sure that they really understand which plants are native, which ones are not, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope they have some guidance in that regard.
Yeah, yeah.
We were very fortunate in our last habitat manager.
Yes, we were. I agree.
So do we need to vote on this now or just say that that's groovy?
I think make a motion and, yeah.
Okay,
I would move that we go forward with.
I'll second.
all right. Jason?
We,
Yes.
yes.
Aaron Becker?
Yes.
Mary Rogers? Barbara Ewell?
Aye.
Michelle Salmon?
Yes.
Shauna Calmes, aye. The ayes have it.
Before we move on, Aaron, can we do a quick mic check? Because Richard and I tested it before the meeting. There's a button on them.
It's off now too. Yeah, it's off. I got you.
You can hear it on video? Huh. Interesting.
I thought I heard you at the very end.
Yeah, it's not being repeated in the room, but apparently it's being broadcast.
Do we need volume up higher? Yeah, mic 7.
We're happy to share.
Red means off. Closer, closer, closer. Oh.
Really, really close.
Red is on.
All right, we good to keep going?
We.
All right. The OSEC comments on the Baylands EIR notice of preparation.
Okay, well, thank you for everybody that submitted comments. Hopefully you've had a chance to review what was in your packet. Essentially, I took everything that was submitted by committee members, piled them into one document, and made some suggested edits, which I kept in track changes so that you could see what exactly we did on the staff side of things. These are due basically tomorrow. So my hope is that at this point in time, we can just discuss any modifications or concerns with what's in the current document. And I will be able to kind of accept changes and submit tomorrow, hopefully relatively briefly. So with that, I would just turn it over to all of you for questions or comments.
Does anyone have any changes or comments on anything that was submitted? You want to go ahead?
I'm just curious about, I noticed when I went through the marked up copy that there were some things that were not able to be captured properly. And some of them are concerned with the transportation issues, especially around the Geneva overpass, and what happens if that doesn't happen. And also, about using California native and drought tolerant plants, et cetera. And then I also had a request from a citizen to extend the notice of preparation deadline to Tuesday so that people had more of an opportunity to submit comments over the long weekend. Is that a possibility?
I don't think that is something that your staff is able to address because we are not the community development department. This is not under our purview. We are supporting you in your comments. So
Right.
I think that I would probably recommend that request be taken to the community development director or other appropriate staff that are working on that.
Okay, but what about the comment under transportation? Your comment was, this was not a question and transportation impacts are already going to be studied. Is there a specific analysis being requested here? And I think what the analysis that's being requested is, what is the alternatives? What are the alternatives, especially?
May I jump in? or
Yeah,
Mary?
please.
Because we submitted this question.
Okay.
So could we put at the end of that deleted text that's addressed in comment EA2, please consider this with the EIR? Because we just want to make them aware that the,
You're
Nine-
referring to this density and development controls?
no, the last bullet under transportation
Last bullet. Okay.
says the NOP says to expect 19,000 workers. That's the one you were talking about, Michelle, right?
Yes.
So I believe our concern, I believe our concern is that 19,000 workers, sure, some of them will live in the housing that's to be built, and some will come on Caltrain. But if there's not a good shuttle to the businesses at the lower end of the Baylands, then that will force those workers to Caltrain. And further, if because Caltrain and BART are, because the Bayshore station isn't on an express lane, that's also going to force some of those commuting workers to drive instead of take the public transportation. Because the more The more distance you are from a Caltrain station, the less likely you are to take Caltrain.
So I understand all of this, but where is the question or evaluation that is requested?
Could we
in
add
all
a
of this?
sentence to the end of that that says, please consider this with the EIR?
Could we just rephrase it as a question, like Jeopardy?
How are we going to accommodate 19,000 workers?
That's a
Right.
good way of saying it.
Because most of them are going to come from the East Bay or up north. That was addressed during the NOP presentation by the Carpenters Union.
I thought the carpenters union was concerned about the people who are building it as opposed to the people who would be working.
No, also the folks driving in, that was one of his main concerns. If this is all about sustainability, you have all these cars coming through.
So the question is just how will we accommodate 19,000 workers? Okay. I
Traffic-wise.
expect that's already something that will be studied, but okay.
But in particular, if that overcrossing doesn't work out, then that's really going to put a logjam in bringing people in and without cars. So I think that's.
The first bullet was the one that addresses the Geneva overpass. This particular bullet is due to the limited service from Caltrain and BART around the Bay Area. And then that the Caltrain station isn't that close to things in the south ends of the Baylands. And I think that's what we were going for, right?
Sorry, I misunderstood you.
That's okay. Sorry, that wasn't a question or very specific when we submitted it.
Are there any other questions or addendums?
Yeah, I have a question about the proposed land use. I'm wondering if it could be more strongly worded that parking lot for EV charging, solar panel arrays, and a sewer lift station are not considered open space. That it just really annoys that bejesus out of me.
As it should.
I mean, really?
That table, excuse me, the table 2.2 really opens your eyes to how they're looking at open space. That's why Aaron and I put this in here.
All right, but you're commenting on the specific plan, and the comments on the specific plan are to be submitted with the EIR, which has yet to be performed. So your comments at this juncture are supposed to be on the notice of preparation, as in the 23, I believe it was, page document about what they will be studying in the EIR. So referring tables that are in the specific plan isn't necessarily what we should be doing at this juncture.
Great. Then I would like in the glossary on this, on the EIR, I would like a definition of open space to be included, a very specific definition of open space to be included in the glossary so that we do not have any more questions about what is considered open space. Is that possible? Because it's not in the glossary.
In the glossary for the specific plan, which has already been released?
In this glossary, yeah, there's a glossary in here. And open space is not defined in it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So in the specific plan, which has already been released, so what the notice of preparation is saying, hey, folks who are preparing the EIR, study this. It's not a directive to go change the specific plan.
Okay.
Can I-
So how do you suggest we address this?
Well, I mean, maybe when we could suggest when they study it, they use the city's definition of open space and evaluate how much open space there is per the city's definition,
Yeah.
as opposed to the developer's imaginary qualification, yeah.
Erin has her hand up.
I went back and
Sorry.
reviewed the OSEC 2020 comments on the previous NOP, and in it, there's a bullet that perhaps this is how we should phrase it. open space and open area should be discussed separately and their proportions detailed. And I think it's that proportions detailed bit that is what we want them to consider with the EIR. You want me to read it again? Open space, which is in quotes, and open area, which is in quotes, should be discussed separately and their proportions detailed.
Nice point.
Works for me. Is everybody good with that?
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
And I do think we should say something about using the city's definitions. Not letting them make up their own.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly, I mean, we have an open space plan for, it's clearly defined.
Yep.
And it feels disingenuous to tell all the residents of this community that it's 25% open space if everyone in this community thinks
Yeah.
of the definition differently, and they're counting EV parking lots and solar farms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and lift stations. I mean, you can put grass on a pig, but it's still a pig. I just saw red when I saw that. I thought that is just so perverted compared to what the agreements were and the agreements in Measure JJ, et cetera.
Yeah.
So sorry if I sound snarky about it, but I feel snarky about it.
Yeah.
And we read 6,000 pages and we were pretty clear about what open space and open area was.
I have one more comment. I would like to thank Adrian for her strategy of putting all this stuff together, having us submit early enough that she had time to put it all together, and then going through and cleaning it up for us in advance so that we could just look at her changes, agree on them, discuss a couple, and then get it submitted by tomorrow. That was really well done. Thank you. Made it very efficient.
Here,
I
here.
agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adrian.
You have a gift for that, Adrian.
Honed over many years. So do we need a motion on this? Do we?
Was there? Oh, I guess I'll just.
When in doubt, we should just do it.
Yeah, thinking so.
I move that we accept the proposed changes as gathered by Adrian with gratitude,
Including the ones we discussed tonight.
including the additions that we discussed tonight.
I second that.
Do we need a roll call on that?
Yeah.
All right,
Always.
Jason?
Aye.
Erin Becker?
Aye.
Mary Rogers?
Aye.
Barbara Ebel?
Aye.
Michelle Salmon?
Aye.
Shauna Calmes? Aye. Motion is carried. I can't read that at all.
I'm just going to make sure those are saved real quick before we move on.
All right, we'll move on to staff updates.
We're going so fast. All right. And I only have like 2 staff updates, I think.
That's okay, too.
First one is that the Bayshore EV station, we've gotten the green tag on the meter sign off. So next step is PG&E is apparently working on their own permits and scheduling. So it looks like we're probably still a good 2 months out at least, but we got another small step in completing that project. And then my other update, and this is been actually a very big deal over the last few weeks, is that Peninsula Clean Energy is considering an incentive program for municipal facilities. And I've been talking with their staff working on this extensively and spoke at their citizen advisory committee 2 weeks ago, almost, I think it was, about what Brisbane would need to help move our pool electrification project forward. So it is by no means a done deal, but that project is looking much more promising than it has been in a while. So hopefully I will have more news to share on that in another month or 2.
Adrian, are we also looking at the library, solar for the library at the same time, or is that possible?
We have already had a site visit with PCE. Actually, that was back in like middle of February to participate in their second round of their bulk procurement for solar and storage at that facility. I am awaiting news from them. I've tried to follow up a couple of times to find out what the status is and what's going on there. But we submitted the facility. They came and did a site visit, and we're hoping we'll be able to move forward in that next round of their procurement program.
Any timeline on that at all? No. Okay, I just know that there are certain people who are very wanting that and very disappointed that it wasn't included when it was built. So we just want to keep our pulse on that one and see if we can move it forward.
I
Greatly
literally just
appreciate it.
emailed today to ask them what the status was and what was going on. So
Thank you so much.
I think that's all I had.
I don't have any excitement,
Okay.
really.
Well, then I guess we're on to subcommittee reports.
Wait.
Oops, sorry.
Wait,
I'm
wait.
sorry.
Is my mic working?
No, yeah.
Okay, great. I can give a brief update on the building efficiency program. We are smooth sailing. I think we have about 70% of buildings that have submitted. 50% of those are fully compliant. Just still have a few stragglers, but definitely going smoother than last year.
Wow, thank you.
Very good.
Yay.
I'm just curious, the buildings that are non-compliant, what sort of problems are they having?
So are you meaning buildings that haven't submitted their reports or submitted but pending revisions?
Submitted but pending revisions.
Generally, it could be any range of issues. It can be really small, like logistical problems, like the report you were submitted has a different square footage from what we have on file. Can we make sure that we're squared away? We also are double checking for buildings that have low water and low energy usage, just because coming down the line, we're going to be rewarding buildings that have really high efficiency. So we want to make sure that all their data is accurate in the first couple of years so that we have a good baseline for them. So that's been it for a number of them. And then again, some little really teeny minor, like the square footage issue.
Okay, thank you. I was sort of curious what the shapes of things were.
Yeah.
Are there any buildings that didn't respond at all last year and are still not responding?
No, we actually had 100% compliance last year. So we've tracked everyone down at this point.
Wow, that's great.
Mind blown officially.
Yeah, awesome.
It took a few citations to get those last couple in, but we eventually did. Yes. That wasn't a joke. We really did send some citations.
Good.
Well,
I think that's it for staff updates.
sorry I'd missed you, Rachel. All right, then I guess we will move on to subcommittees. And we are going to start with, is there any way to make this bigger so I can read it?
Yeah, you really truly cannot read it on here.
It's
Not on the fly. I will try
Okay.
to for next time, though.
Thanks. Events. Yeah. Oh, yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
CTV for the
Anything
win.
to report on the event?
Nothing on events. I think we're going to have the same comments all the way down, given that we were all working on the NOP. So,
I think we do
Yeah.
have that event coming up on, is it still scheduled or tentatively scheduled for June 22nd? Summer
I
Habitat?
think we were talking about July 22nd.
Oh, July 22nd?
I need to circle back with Ariel to confirm that is still the plan, but that's the last I have heard. I have no
Okay.
reason to think otherwise at this point.
Okay.
Education and outreach? Nothing?
nothing.
Isn't something in progress at the library? Did that come off?
I think we finished that right before the last meeting. Maybe a few days before we had just put up the new display at the library. Got it in there right in time for Earth Day.
Yeah, the last meeting, we talked about possibly getting some posters for City Hall. That was under Education and Outreach. But I didn't do much on that, just because of the NOP.
And I did not either because of numerous things. Adding it to my list.
All right, moving on. Any report from the Baylands Subcommittee?
No meetings have been scheduled.
Okay. For ad hoc, the building decarbonization.
We're still on hold awaiting Berkeley fallout, correct?
Indeed. Waiting for, there's a legal memo that is expected, I think, next week, or maybe it was by the end of this month, something very soon that we are looking forward to reviewing. And I understand there may also be a deadline coming up for Berkeley to request an en banc hearing. So we're awaiting news on what Berkeley decides to do and that legal memo, which hopefully both will have more on in the next week or so. And then that will help determine our path forward. Oh, sure. This is related to the building decarbonization. We had actually the last two couple of RICAPS meetings, our countywide climate action planning group have had discussions on grid preparedness for electrification. It's been pretty interesting. We've had speakers from CPUC and PG&E and PCE, basically all just talking about the kind of behind the scenes planning work that goes on to prepare the grid for the future and for high levels of electrification. And I think actually Rachel and I were talking about this a little bit earlier this afternoon. The big takeaway is they are planning all the time and the grid is expected to be ready as we add. We shouldn't wait to electrify until the grid is ready. The grid can handle ongoing additional, kind of incremental additional electrification. In fact, we would not want to make a huge investment in the grid and not be utilizing it because that would be a waste. So that was kind of one of the big takeaways. I think the kind of questions from the RICAPS group have really been along the lines of how do we communicate this more effectively to the public? And I think that's still something that we need to discuss a little bit further. But there's a recognition there that a lot of work happens to ready the grid. But when it comes to time to having public conversations about building electrification and transportation electrification and just broader decarbonization, there's a lot that the public is maybe not aware of.
Yeah, it sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
Anything else on that subject? How about on the open space plan update? We did not meet, but
we should.
schedule away.
Did you get us the new document, Karen?
No, this has been a tough month working on transportation stuff and all that.
Okay, yeah, we kind of need that.
For you
okay.
guys to meet. Okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
I'll put it in red on my notes.
And the Crocker Trail, Frog Trail habitat, we did not meet, but the creek is full of little fat pollywogs. And their mamas are croaking up a storm. So
I
it's
love
always
me
fun.
a pollywog.
Yes.
I think last month we talked about how we'd met and looked at the issue where some of the water had overflown onto the trail and we had such heavy storms and what our plan was to do about that off season. So since then, we did get a draft report from the Resource Conservation District, and we had some comments to give back to them. I wanted to make sure on the city side that, slowing down, that we want something in our records that says slowing down that flow of stormwater is not going to be a problem drainage-wise, because we have experienced that and we've gotten complaints about it. So we're going to get that from our staff and then have them add that into the report, and then it'll be ready for you guys to see. And it talked about, how to maintain, how much shade, how much of the creek or whether it's a concrete channel or natural, how much you could fill with. You'll see it in the next couple of weeks. Vegetation underground, vegetation or underwater, above and at the water level. And
Oh, nice.
so it should be coming soon, and I can send it around. We can talk about meeting or what we need to do
That sounds
once the
wonderful.
report's ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything moving forward on the invasive species ordinance?
Why, yes. Why, yes. Indeed.
Indeed.
In fact.
Please,
So,
please elucidate.
Glenn got us off to a great start. Anyone who's written anything in the world knows the first 10 words you write are the hardest. So she got us off to a great start for that. And then she's out of town right now. And then Erin and I met this past week. And oh my God, thank God, Erin brought to the table her skills from Dark Skies, the things that she learned. And we used our table that we all kind of threshed out together. And so we have Glenn's beginning and essentially Erin's middle and end and our mutual table. And I think we're sitting in a very good spot to go forward from this point. Did I say it right? Yeah.
Yay.
So
What you
kudos
guys-
to Erin and Glenn.
Yeah, what you guys had said in your email was another meeting, so Glenn is gone for a couple of weeks. So
She's out, yes.
Right.
But I wanted to give her props for getting us started. And I feel really, I don't want to jinx it. I feel really good about where it's at
Yeah.
right now.
I haven't looked at it. You just sent it, what, Friday or the weekend or late last week?
Karen, if you are good with it, we could probably be ready to agendize it for this council again as well. I don't know if you want to take a look at it and think about whether it's ready for the full group or if it needs to be reformatted and sent to city ordinance folks. I know it's not planners, that's who it was with Dark Skies, but whoever in the city staff chain would need to look at it.
So when you said council, you meant this committee?
Yes, I'm sorry, I meant this committee, not council, sorry.
So my take on it was to put together an outline of what we wanted to do and maybe talk to the council subcommittee, which is liaisons. And you guys wanted to push ahead with like a 60% ordinance. So that's what you've done. I haven't looked at it. So I kind of want to check at the staff level whether this is the right time to check in with the council liaisons and make sure we're on the right path.
So if we don't go to the liaisons next, what would the next step be? Just wait or talk about it?
So, yeah, I mean, having a council subcommittee, it's always an optional thing. So if it's something that the council requested or something that staff, for regulatory reasons or whatever, wants to bring forward, it'll go to the full council and then they'll discuss. It's the plus is that the two that are most involved in your subject matter, you can go into more detail because you're not at a full council meeting. You can talk through the nuts and bolts, get their support. So then it goes to the full council. Like, we've reviewed this in depth. We recommend it. And it kind of can bring it across the finish line more smoothly. Sometimes, doesn't always work that way.
So
Does it come back to us before it does that, or? I
Well, yeah,
mean,
we would want
yeah.
all of OSEC to be recommending the ordinance, yeah.
So do we look at it before it goes to the council liaisons or not?
Well, I mean, I guess,
I think that would be smart, but I don't know that it's mandatory.
right, it kind of depends on how we think it's going to go with them. And I just don't think that they have heard anything specific about what we're thinking about doing. They broad brush that we have an invasive species ordinance we're looking at, but I don't think they know that which things we've included and that some are in a 2-foot perimeter and some have to be removed, what the time frame is. They have no idea about that. So
given that, Karen, is it better to do the liaison thing or the go to the full council thing?
I feel like let's check in with the liaison so that we
Liaison.
think we're on the right track.
Okay.
But, I can be wrong too.
So if you could look at it yourself with all your experience, and I feel it's in pretty good shape, so then decide if we go liaison next or go back to us, that would
All right, and so we don't need a meeting with just the three of you and me.
I don't think
I
so.
think it's
I don't think, it
good.
was Glenn's words we started with, and we left them almost completely intact. And then we used kind of language, boilerplate language, and the stuff we had all three of us agreed on with the actual species, et cetera.
Okay, because I didn't know how much you'd work together, so I'm just finding out, because you wouldn't want, again,
No.
we're meeting and then Glenn says, oh, I didn't know that. I thought we were going to do
No change. to
Y
the-
instead of X or something.
Right. No change to the table that we all agreed on, and kept her language in the beginning and used dark skies modified language for the others. I think it's proved
For the
very
nuts and
safe.
bolts.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't want to curse it, but I think it's very safe.
Okay. All right.
Dark Skies had a meeting. We didn't really, I don't think we really kind of finished our agenda or came to much resolution. I think we should probably meet again. And then I'm just, we also had left some stuff with staff, so I'm kind of interested in where that is staff side. And before you jump in, which I do want you to jump in, but before you do that, I'm just going to say that I haven't done anything with tree issues because Dark Skies has been my all-consuming thing, so nothing for tree issues.
So on Dark Skies, we have a meeting scheduled already. I think it's week after next.
6 at
7?
7th
Thinking?
at 5:15.
Something like that. That sounds
Wait,
about
I have it
right.
on my calendar.
Yeah, so do I. I was just wondering what staff has had anything they want to.
We had some back and forth shortly after the meeting. There are a couple of things that I still need to work
June
on
7th.
with regard to streetlights. And I did also do some polishing up of some questions and tried to reach out to one of the lighting consultants and just realized in talking with Rachel earlier today that I have not gotten any response from them. So I'm going to try them again, or kind of our second consultant on the list, and see if we can get in touch with anybody on that. So there are a few things in progress and a few more that we will be working on over the next week or so until that meeting.
Great. Also, nothing from Sierra Point Park Planning.
While there was no meeting for the tree issues, one thing I'd like to bring up, because I walk around Brisbane all the time, the excess rain has made all of the trees grow like nuts, and I've been reporting them on the My Brisbane app because they are knocking people in the pedestrians in the face. They are growing into areas where they're going to be very severely truck pruned soon and rip branches off and destabilize the trees. And I was wondering whether the city is planning on doing some serious pruning, some aesthetic pruning and stabilizing
Yeah.
the situation.
Did
You know,
you see the Facebook thing about the you can't walk down?
Yeah,
in front of the lot?
yeah. Like I said, I've been posting, I've been putting things in the My Brisbane app too, some trees that need to be pruned.
Yeah.
And pruned correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You actually bring up a very good point, Shauna. I've noticed some of the trees putting up enormous amounts of water suckers,
Yeah.
and that's not real good growth, so.
The only thing that I'm aware that is scheduled to happen, SRs, I think are kind of backlogged in terms of trees that need to be taken out or trimmed or looked at and assessed.
Go ahead, Karen, I'm sorry.
Is that in the weed abatement, we do require when the contractors that are selected to do the weed abatement along the streets have to trim trees to a certain height so that people can walk under them and street sweepers and equipment can walk under them. It's not going around and looking at every tree's health and aesthetically pruning or doing suckers or all of that, but that step is underway. That gets done every year on city property before the 4th of July, by the end of June.
But sometimes it's a little scary because do they really understand the best way to prune some of these trees? Or are they just giving them a haircut?
Yeah, we usually take care of our trees, but our student gardener who helps us out with some of the more routine stuff is having school, so it's not working.
I mean, I just want to make sure that when we prune these trees, especially like the maiden tree, that's been a great subject of discussion at the library, the old library, the community center library, that it gets properly pruned and not just hacked at, and I also want to make sure that we don't take down trees just because it seems easier than actually taking care of trees. So I have a lot of anxiety and concern about this right now. I really do. Some do need to go, but seems like the air has been filled with spring and buzzsaws lately.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, someday we have to get back to the tree issues because our tree, I mean, I was really hoping our tree removal ordinance would slow down the rate of tree removal in this town, but it hasn't made a dent. So
Yeah.
we're still averaging the same numbers we did before the new tree removal ordinance. So I feel like it was a failure on a number of levels. Next.
One other thing on that same issue of trees and, with the growth and everything, also there is a lot of ivy coming onto city-owned street trees because you had so much rain and so much water. And so I'm hoping that can be taken care of as well. Will they do that ivy removal on the trees as they go around and do the sidewalk thing, or do we need to report each tree?
I can see how reporting each tree is problematic.
I can do it. I can start doing it.
You could do a list. If you gave a list, I could make sure that it gets in front of the maintenance crew.
It should be starting to be standard procedure, I hope. But I guess not. Okay, that'd be great.
I have a question on Crocker Trail. I listened to the council in Guadalupe, whatever group that is, about the repaving and the cost. And so it came in at around a little under $800,000 to pave Crocker Trail. And there was some discussion about what the remaining funds would be used for, and I missed that. So I'm hoping that the remaining funds on that will go towards what the community was surveyed for, and having benches and solar lights and such. But I didn't hear that.
So we got the grant to do the resurfacing, as I've talked about before the master plan happened. So staff in Public Works that have the grant and need to execute the grant to resurface kind of participated in the master plan work to try to make sure that we aligned. And because it was federal funded, you have to environmentally study your project limits and tell Caltrans administers those federal funds. So you have to tell them exactly what you plan to do, your project description, and you can't deviate once you're there with your grant money. So we told them that we were considering crossings, solar lighting, and benches and wayfinding signs. So with the money at this point, we're going to try to improve the crossings and see what that cost is. So the project is going to start early in June, in the next couple weeks. We're nailing that down. We're actually meeting with the contractor tomorrow. So we're going to get their prices to do all of the crossing improvements that are proposed, except at South Hill, because if there ever is a development at the quarry, then we would make them do the improvements at South Hill. If there are more funds, we'll look at the benches and wayfinding. The lighting is challenging because we don't have a design, and council hasn't yet funded a design. And it's not enough to do all of it. So then you can only do solar lighting on the part that's most exposed, and not really the part that's the problem. The back what is a problem. So
Indeed.
And we also have a time frame because we need to start the work and turn in an invoice to not be in default of that grant. It kind of came about that they told us we could spend the money. So they allocate the money, but then you have to show them that you're ready and have other plans and be ready to put the project out to bid. So they told us in late December, and then all the rains happened and the trail got destroyed. I think a lot of you saw in some places on the south side. So we reached out to Caltrans and said, is there extra money? Because the trail is not in the condition that we planned for it when we got the original estimate. And they looked around and asked, and they said, no, there isn't extra money for that. It's not a federal aid route. You've got to make it work. So outside of that contract, we kind of removed the mud and leveled it and said, okay, close enough. We hope that the price doesn't go a lot over because of this damage. So from that late December, we have to start work and show Caltrans that we've started work within 6 months. And so that's June 21st. So we need to get this started, and we have a certain amount of time now to complete it. So we didn't have time to go do the study of the lighting, and that would not be funded by the grant money to do the study, only construction. So we're doing crossings and potentially wayfinding signs if there's enough money for that.
Thanks. So another question. Was it Canapa that is offering up some type of funding for local projects, right? And I think it was around $200,000 or so.
150 or 200?
Yeah, something
150.
like that. Do we have the ability to suggest maybe finishing up the Crocker Trail?
Was that? Yeah, was it on last week's meeting?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So, and do you know what happened? Neither of us heard.
I was out of town. I didn't get a chance to watch.
Oh, okay.
watch
Well,
the meeting
anyway,
yet,
I
but
was
there
just
a
hoping that
proposal.
OSEC could submit some ideas on how to use that money. And I know Canapa wants some type, it's tangible, right? So everybody can see it. And
How about lighting and benches?
yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, exactly, right? Let's finish up the Crocker Trail as presented in the plan. And so I'm hoping that maybe we could put forth that suggestion.
So there was a proposal that was in the council packet last week, and I apologize, I have not caught up to find out whether it was approved or not. But the recommendation was to actually request Canapa to put that funding towards the pool project.
I actually had one other question that sort of tied into Mary's question. So, and Karen, you said that, they did kind of a quick and dirty leveling of the Crocker Trail after it got washed out, which I saw was great. But what didn't happen was the little side waterway wasn't uncleared, and then it started flooding again and was starting to wash out again. Whereas I mean, it's the rain has stopped, so it's not going to happen again. But if it does start raining again early, and that hasn't, the canal next to it hasn't been cleared, it's just going to continue to wash out and flood down into the other areas.
It's not unusual for us to have one solid June rain, so.
You can see where it's coming out, and you can see where it came out of the trough and started digging into the paving base again.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. It wasn't part of what was in the scope for the resurfacing project, and we're raising the trail 4 inches with the crusher fines with better material that's like a decomposed granite. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps, but I think we need to find another, other than a federal grant that we already define to improve the drainage. But yeah, I am aware that I've been told that that's been an issue.
And Karen, I have one more thing. With the paving starting, can we avoid paving near the Cypress area and at this time and start with other areas because of the frogs right now?
The contract should only take 8 weeks, I think.
Yeah, but if they could start somewhere else and finish there, that would be much better.
I don't remember if we asked for that, but we did say that you can't use vibration when you compact there.
I'm just worried that they'll inadvertently be, impacts to the tadpoles right now. And in 8 weeks from now, or when they get to the end of the term, there'll be less risk for the frogs than there is right now. So if you could schedule it's so easy to start with that section because it looks like the easiest to do. But I'd rather that section came last because of the frogs. And they're right now they're in tadpole state, and this is the very kind of thing that could really damage them.
Yeah, I've seen too, and it's a bit away. I will ask. again, I don't remember exactly what was in the addendum, but we did take that into consideration. And I don't think we said you have to do it last, but if they're willing to, we can,
Well,
you know.
please ask them to. I mean,
I hear you. loud
we're
and
still in
clear.
control, right?
Can we run it by the consultants that we're paying? Just to be on the safe side?
No, they recommended that we get a civil engineer for the drainage issues and for the technical. They're more of like biologists and.
Well, I'm in light of the frogs, that's what I'm asking, right? So,
I don't know that they would have, you know, they would be prescriptive about how to do construction. They would probably say, if you want, I don't know what they would say.
Well, they'd probably say common sense, something like, it's best you leave the area alone until after the tadpoles turn into frogs.
I mean, most likely they'll be willing to do that.
Yeah, it would just be heartbreaking.
And I may have even put it in the addendum, I just don't remember.
Okay. It would just be heartbreaking if while trying to do something good, we did something that was bad.
thanks. So the Canapa money, that sounds like it was already, I don't know if I didn't listen either, if the council approved it for the pool project or not, but it's pretty much a done deal.
The recommendation was included in the council's packet.
Okay,
Whether that's the action that they took, I can't say without watching the meeting.
okay, all right, thanks.
It would be good because we would get kind of double bang for our buck in terms of saving energy and that type of thing. So, and of course, the pool sometimes is cold.
All right, I guess we can move on to calendar items. Here we are in the lovely.
I don't think there's really a whole lot new or exciting here, but
You know, I'm thinking about the Habitat Day, and then I'm thinking about what Shauna said about the channel. And maybe we could have our Habitat Day clearing the channel. I mean, you could get enough people. I mean, we've done it before. I mean, with Mountain Watch, we cleared a huge section of the channel up along South Hill Drive. And maybe if we set that area as an area to clear and we have the city support with, clearing of dumpsters and, that kind of thing. I mean, and we could really get people to come and help do that. It's a very tangible thing that I think people would really want to help
There's
with.
plenty of pampas grass to deadhead over there too. We could, if we have a big dumpster, at least we could get the little seed ones away.
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think?
Can check with Ario.
Yeah, well, also
Find
check
out
with
what-
the city because we'd need some, maybe some public works assist there and stuff, and some saws and things like that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe along those lines as well, or sicking the guy who did the first section on that one.
So it'd be a less glamorous Habitat Day than planting and weeding and pulling broom, but it would certainly be, so essential to the well-being of that area and to
So can you say
waterway.
more specifically what you're looking to do? You want to clear the concrete channel?
Yeah. Cut back all of the brush and clear the debris out of it and, allow the water to flow.
And not on the path.
And so that it doesn't have as much likely to overflow. Because I know the channel is I'm sure it's full of mud and plants and debris and just all the things that happen there. And there's a lot of overgrowth probably. I haven't walked that channel for a while, but back in 2018, I helped clear a section of that channel and pulled a lot of garbage out of there, Lori Graham and I did that.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's totally doable. And then in like 2016, we did a section up by South Hill in January one year and pulled out at least a dumpster or 2 dumpsters worth of debris and growth. And that was just like maybe 16 people that did that.
So maybe Karen could check with the city and a couple of us could go and walk it and look at, size it up
I
and
was
see
gonna
how
say,
much.
I don't, it's been what, maybe a month or something since we met over there. I certainly don't recall seeing an inordinate amount of garbage to clean up
Not
as far
the
as
Cypress
that.
side, but the other side, right below Quarry Road.
They're down between Quarry Road and as you go along there. And when you get down closer to the stone place, you can see where it's so clogged that it can't move forward down that channel. It just comes straight across the path.
We're talking the channel from South Hill towards the city, correct? That part of the channel?
Oh,
Right at the base of Quarry, like, here's Quarry Road and it's right down the hill from Quarry Road, right along there.
mm-hmm.
That
Okay,
part,
that's not what I was thinking you were talking
yeah,
about.
But the first part of it is not in that bad a shape.
right,
It's the part that's down,
further down,
further down,
yeah.
closer to the stone
Yeah.
end of it.
You know what? We might want to just have an event committee meeting on site to see
Okay,
what
And I-
schedule it, we'll be
needs
there.
to be done.
Hot sauce.
Okay, good. Chair and committee member matters. Oh, there's our pictures. Yay! Oh, look, we all marvelous. This is a marvelous looking group. So much better than the Brady Bunch.
Going once.
So I would like to say that Father's Day is a fantastic time to give a gift certificate to your favorite native plant nursery.
Wait a minute, point of order. I thought that Mother's Day was an outstanding.
Second only to
Both.
Father's Day. I will say our last plant sale at the Mission Blue Nursery was very successful and very well attended and busy as could be for the first 2 hours. And then I had to go, but it was great.
Excellent.
Did we finish the calendar? Was there anything else on the calendar?
No,
So and we're not having recycled arts and crafts contest this year, correct? Adrian?
I'll be honest, last year it was a struggle
Yeah.
to get submissions and to get attendance at our event. So based on the amount of work that needs to go into it, I'm not inclined to do it again,
Yeah.
at least not at this time.
Okay. And so we need to think of something really good. You guys all put your thinking caps on for Day in the Park?
Oh, that reminds me, I have a note in my calendar that we wanted to do a transportation survey at Day in the Park sometime to figure out why it is that more people in Brisbane aren't willing to take public transportation, what we could possibly do to incentivize them. I'm not sure that's still something we want to tackle, but it was in my calendar to remind everybody to do that. Or that we had wanted to do that in the past, so food for thought.
Good.
What,
Okay.
Karen? What? What?
I'm thinking of yet another reason why we need an event subcommittee meeting because we need to talk about what's happening at Day in the Park. I'm not. Transportation
be-
survey, I don't know.
Could the thing that
Not
Barbara was
ringing a
talking
bell.
about, could that be like Survey Monkey, the way that your didn't you have a committee with the Survey Monkey last year that doing that? Could we do that in the park?
A survey. Oh, have like a digital.
A digital, like, like with an iPad and just say, here, do our thing, or log in on your phone. Here's the thing. Please vote for the transportation that Barbara's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if you guys paired with Complete Streets because their
Yeah.
booth was right next to you last year.
Ooh.
any other matters, committee matters, chair matters? Nope. Our next meeting is going to be on June 28th.
Put that in my calendar now.
And
Oh, yeah,
I
that's already on
move
the
that
calendar.
the meeting is adjourned. Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Who's events? It's Michelle? Me. And who else? The third?
Who else is on events?